Hello, everybody. My name is Badrinarayan, and I've been playing chess for the last 8 years on ChessDotCom. Recently, I started sharing my journey on YouTube, basically documenting my games, adding commentary to my games, just like why I made a particular move, why the opponent might have made a particular move, and so on. And in today, we have only one game. Uh, this is not a very high accuracy game. As you can see, I played with an accuracy of 82, which is not that good on a rapid game. But the reason this game is special is because I finally broke an important milestone. I got to 2100 for the first time on chess.com, and I was really happy about that. That's the reason I got this on Friday. Over the weekend, I had to travel, and finally, I started uploading this today. I just wanted to go through this game and talk about like how the journey has been in the last 1 year. Yeah, let's just start the game. We start the review, and as you know, I went to the d4 hoping for the Catalan. Recently, I added a lot more variations into my repertoire. Um, so the openings is something people say that you need to be understand the theory instead of memorizing, but the reality, in my opinion, is that you need to do both. You need to understand the theory, and you also need to have some lines completely memorized. Some of those things you can't sit and calculate in the game and find the right move. It's not going to happen. And and I and I understood a lot more variation and memorized them as well, and that really helped me a lot. But still, in this particular game, I was thrown out of that because of c5. I have been comfortable with NC6, which is being shown as the best move here, and this NC6 is what I really practiced in the last few days, and I have really I started to understand the important ideas there. Some of those ideas I transported into this, but the C5 is what I'm planning to do next, and because they played C5 today, I was thrown out of my prep. But still, um, some of the NC6 lines made sense here as well, so I just went with that by going Queen A4. Queen A4 is a check, and Queen A4 is a check, and it's also an attack on this pawn. It's a 4. So this pawn, I'm definitely going to capture back. They block the check with the knight, and I captured c5, which again was the best move. I really didn't know that this was the best move. It was just an understanding of mine that after I pick up c5, I can still pick up c4 later if needed be. That was the only thought I had, and as it turns out, it was the right idea. Uh, they neutralized things by going for queen a5 check. The same check which I gave here, they are now giving it to me. But this is an inaccuracy, and I didn't even think. I guess. Yep, I just captured the queen in 2 seconds. I didn't know it was a great move, but I knew that it was the right move in that situation. The only other option was to bring this knight out here and protect the queen, which didn't appeal to me. So I just traded off the queens, and we are straight away going into a pseudo endgame, basically an endgame but with more pieces. And and after NC6, this is yet another move which I was only aware because I studied the NC6 variations. The move is knight A3. There is a saying in chess, night on the rim is very dim, and but in this particular line of the Catalan or the Queen's Gambit, this is a very good move to have to still put the pressure on the c4 pawn. Normally, we would do this by bringing the knight to what is this d2, but in this case, since the d2 was already occupied by the bishop, knight goes to a3 to add pressure on the c4 pawn. They This was a blunder, and sadly, I couldn't take advantage of it. At this point, I was only looking at that pawn. It was a pure tunnel vision. Yeah, I captured the pawn in 13 seconds. When in reality, if I had gone for the actual tactic, recommended tactic, I was going to get a rook. But I missed it. And frankly, like even after this, it is just a +1 and not a +2. But getting the rook for the minor piece is always a better trade. This is something for the future. I made a note of it for the future. Anyway, knight captures c4, bishops capture c5, and we are still equal in material, but our development is complete. Okay, we can say that his light square bishop is still not developed, but it's not really such an. And yeah, I don't know how I missed this, or I think I was just playing it safe here. I really didn't want to um, get into all those trades and a little bit of a complicated variations here. That's the reason why I just went with a safe move. They should have traded the knights. They didn't. I traded the knights because I was seeing this in the long. Yes, somewhere here I spent a lot of time. Yes. Yeah. In this move, I spent a lot of time because I really wanted this kind of a position where the rook is looking at two minor pieces, one behind the other. Now, make no mistake, I'm obviously not going to get that minor piece now, but I did calculate that if they take the knight to uh, d7, I can push this pawn, and then I would once again be able to threaten the minor piece. But then, and then even if they do this and this, the bishop eventually go hits that rook. But the rook can come here and once again add protection to this bishop. I calculated all of these lines, but still I went with this because it felt like the right move at that time. And even it says that RAC1 is best. You have pinned your opponent's bishop. But I at this point I wasn't expecting to win a lot of material until the opponent did this. They traded away the light square bishop for this knight, and and this is a big mistake. When the position is this open with so many empty squares, your bishop will always be stronger. And in addition, by giving up the light square bishops, the Catalan bishop became even more powerful. And for all these reasons, I didn't think it was a good move. I continued with adding pressure on this bishop and on this rook, and here the opponent cracked. The opponent should have gone to b8 and attacked the bishop. Instead, they went to c7, and that meant that I was going to get a pawn. There was no way that the opponent could avoid winning a pawn here. Sorry, losing a pawn. But they lost it in a worse way by pushing the pawn forward. There is no protection here from the bishop because the rook causes a discover attack on the rook. And yeah, and the eval also shows that even though I'm just going to win a pawn, the eval has already moved up to 3.1, which is powerful. And here it adds it's an even bigger threat because the rook is behind. But I calculated that he could sorry, not the rook, he could bring this knight over, temporarily add this protection, and then I don't have any piece to add more pressure on this bishop. That was what I was expecting, and the same move here they also made. Now let's see what is the actual follow-up here. I'm supposed to bring the rook. Okay. Okay, so I have a rook and two bishops against two rooks. I I don't think I would this particular variation info. Even if I had seen it, I would have gone for that. I value the rooks more. So let's continue. Anyway, after this, I just traded off the dark square bishops. I wanted to clear more space for these 2 pawns. That was the only idea behind trading the dark square bishops. Um, Bishop e5 is an inaccuracy because yes, now this is a tactic which I always miss. I always miss it both for me and for my opponent. So what mean by that is that when I get the opportunity, I don't take the rook to the seventh rank. And the same time, when the opponent has the opportunity to come to my seventh rank, I just allow it. I just miss it and allow it. This is something that has happened along. In this case, in this particular game, thankfully, I didn't miss it. Although I would say that the only reason I didn't miss it is because of this fork. If this fork hadn't been there, I don't know if I would have found this move. Anyway, rook goes to the seventh rank, knight escapes, and I get the pawn. And now I'm fully 2 pawns up, and I have two protected monster passed pawns in the corner. And just like that, I knew I had already won this game. I just had to make sure that I don't blunder anything, and I knew that I would win. Um, the g6 move forward, it creates the loop. I wasn't really concerned about that. I brought my bishop back because this rook was attacking this pawn, and the only thing supporting that pawn was this bishop. Now, if I had pushed this pawn straight away, this bishop would have been blocked. That's the reason why I brought the bishop back, and it also now the path is clear for these two passed pawns. This was my whole idea of this move, and the eval also shows that it's a good move. It's firm at 4 plus. I started pushing the pawns, brought them to protect each other, and here I think I spent a lot of time here. Yes, even though I was already a minute down, I knew I had to analyze this. I spent some around 40 seconds and finally came up with this. Initially, it looks as though I'm just going to lose this pawn, but the reality is, once all the captures happen, the second rook also will come to into the seventh rank, and I'm anyway going to capture that pawn back. That was my whole calculation, and the opponent went for that. It's still considered as an excellent move. Bishop takes, and rook comes to the seventh rank, and both the rooks on the seventh rank. This was going to be impossible to defend for black. Rook comes to d8. I captured that pawn. I got back my +2 advantage. Both of his rooks also came to the seventh rank, but it's useless because this rook is adding the required protection to this pawn. So I had nothing to worry about. Pawn moves. Rook comes to d2 and b7. Now, how long did I spend? Yeah, I spent 16 seconds. The idea was simple. Um, Obviously, he can't capture the pawn because it is protected twice. Sorry, obviously, he can't capture the pawn because this pawn is protected twice. At the same time, he cannot capture this rook either because pawn pushes forward, queen comes there, and there's a discovered check on the rook, which means that my position right now is two rooks and two extra pawns against two rooks. Now, after the move sequence which I mentioned, I have a rook, queen, and an extra pawn against the two rooks, which is a hopeless situation for black. That was my only take. But apparently, it's an inaccuracy. It's just an inaccuracy. Like my advantage is still +6. But at this point, I should have been more accurate. It is these endgames that you need to absolutely win. Here, I had an m8, which I completely missed. I was supposed to go backwards, and after that, um, it's just inevitable. The mate is just inevitable for black, which I completely didn't find. Let's see. After he goes there, this rook also dies, and after that, this rook goes forward and gives the checkmate. That's the whole idea here. The important thing is that this rook going to a8 is unstoppable, and I should have found it, which I missed. Instead, I brought my rook back, thinking, if I recall correctly, I think I was just thinking about pushing this rook forward, giving a check, and then pushing the pawn to a queen. And I completely missed REB2. Now, with the rooks doubled, the pawn was in trouble, and I really thought I was going to lose the pawn until I found this move again. Once again, despite being low on time, I spent nearly a minute and brought my rook back to the seventh rank. Once again, they cannot, sorry, they cannot capture the pawn because it is protected twice. They cannot capture the rook because pawn pushes, queen, it promotes to a queen, and there's a discovered check on the king, which means I have a rook and a queen versus two rooks. So, as a result, the game continued, and once again, I brought my rook to c7. Just a check to delay the inevitable. That's it. And after my king came upstairs, he didn't have a chance. I instantly pushed rook to a8. It was just an m1. The sorry, only move here is rook comes to d8. Rook captures d8, and it's checkmate. So with that, I finally crossed the 2100 rating. This was a significant milestone. Um, the thing is, I actually hit 2000 for the first time in the April of last year. Since then, look at this. Look at how many times the skipping rope has run. 2025, and within a couple of days, 1991. 2007, within a couple of days, 83. Again, 1999. 1834. These were my low highs and lows. I just kept playing skipping rope with the 2000 rating. Finally, in the last 1 week, that is after I had completed the additional repertoires on the N6 line, I was finally able to play, I mean, win with high percentage. I have won 15 out of the last 21, and that was the reason why I was able to finally cross this rating. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that in today's video. Let me know your thoughts on that, what you liked about it, and of course, more importantly, what you didn't like about it. Thank you.